There's a moment in every person's life when they realize something brutal about human nature. It happens quietly, without warning, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. You're sitting across from someone who matters to you. Maybe it's a partner, maybe it's a boss, maybe it's someone you've been chasing, fighting for, proving yourself to for months or even years, and then it happens. You pull back, you stop texting, you stop explaining, you stop justifying, you simply walk away, and everything changes. Suddenly, their texts start coming in. Suddenly, they're the ones reaching out. Suddenly, they're trying to figure out why you're gone. This isn't a coincidence. This isn't luck. This is one of the most brutal laws of human psychology, finally working in your favor. The moment you walk away with strength, people treat you differently because deep down, human nature respects power, not desperation. It respects scarcity, not availability. It respects distance, not proximity. Think about the last time you chased something. Really chased it. How did it feel? How did they treat you? You were probably ignored, disrespected, taken for granted. Your efforts weren't met with gratitude or reciprocation. Instead, they were met with silence, or worse, with the person using your desperation against you. Because that's what desperation signals. It signals that you're willing to lose yourself, that you don't have other options, that you need them more than you need your own dignity. But the moment you stop, the moment you collect yourself and walk away, something shifts. And this is what most people never understand. This is what separates those who have power from those who are always chasing it. The difference is not in how hard you try, it's in how willing you are to stop trying. It's in your willingness to say, I'm done, I deserve better. Human beings are wired in a very specific way. We want what we can't have. We crave what's scarce. We ignore what's abundant. This isn't a flaw in the system, it's the system itself. Think about the economy. Think about luxury goods. Why do rare items cost more? Why do limited editions sell out in hours? Because scarcity creates value, and human beings operate on the same principle when it comes to relationships, respect, and attraction. When you're always available, always trying, always explaining, always pursuing, you become abundant. You become common. You become the thing that's so easy to get that it has no value. People don't respect what they can have instantly. They don't cherish what never costs them anything. They don't fight for what requires no effort to maintain. This is why the person who's always there gets taken for granted. This is why your loyalty becomes their comfort zone. This is why your devotion becomes their weapon against you. But when you walk away, everything reverses. Suddenly, you're scarce. Suddenly, your presence has weight. Suddenly, your attention becomes something worth fighting for. This is the fundamental psychological law that governs all human relationships. It's not written in textbooks. It's not taught in schools. But it's operating underneath every single dynamic you've ever been in. It determines who has power and who doesn't. It determines who gets valued and who gets used. The person who chases is always powerless. The person who walks away always has power. And Machiavelli understood this better than almost anyone in history. He spent his entire life studying power dynamics. He wrote something that changed how I understood power completely. He said, "If you cannot control the situation, control yourself." Think about that for a moment. No control over them, no control over circumstances, control over yourself. This is everything. This is the core principle that separates the manipulated from the manipulator. Because you see, there are two types of control in any relationship. There's the control you try to exert over the other person, and that rarely works. You can't force someone to respect you. You can't demand that they love you. You can't manipulate them into valuing you through words or actions. These tactics always fail because they're based on need, on desperation, on the false illusion that you can make someone see your worth if you just say the right thing or do the right thing. But there's another form of control, a much more powerful one, and it's the control you have over yourself. When you can control your impulses, your emotions, your need for validation, your desperation for approval, You've just gained something that almost nobody has. You've gained composure in a world of chaos. You've gained clarity in a world of confusion. You've gained an unshakable presence that attracts people like gravity attracts objects. When you walk away and don't fall apart, when you stay silent and don't crack under pressure, when you move on and don't look back, you're exercising a form of power that most people have never even experienced. You're choosing yourself. You're putting your needs above someone else's comfort, and that choice, repeated consistently, becomes the most attractive force in the world. It becomes magnetic, it becomes untouchable. People feel it. Here's what most people get wrong about human behavior. They think that showing how much they care will make someone care back. They think that proving their worth will make someone value them. They think that chasing harder will make someone love them more. This is backwards. This is the complete inversion of how human psychology actually works. In fact, it's the opposite of what actually happens. Every time you prove yourself, you're proving that you don't believe in your own value. Every time you chase, you're confirming their suspicion that you're desperate. Desperation is repulsion. It's repulsive because it signals weakness. It signals that you've placed your worth in someone else's hands. It signals that you're willing to abandon yourself just to keep them around. And people, whether they consciously know it or not, are deeply attracted to strength and deeply repelled by neediness. This isn't a preference or a choice. It's a biological response. It's written into our nervous systems. It's hardwired into human nature. When you chase someone, you're retelling them with your actions that they matter more than you do. You're literally proving to them that they can treat you however they want because you're not going anywhere. Why would they respect that? Why would they change their behavior? You've just removed all consequences from their actions. You've just shown them that no matter what they do, no matter how badly they treat you, no matter how they neglect you, you'll still be there, still trying, still hoping, still performing for their approval. But the moment you walk away, the equation shifts entirely. Now there are consequences. Now their actions have weight. Now they're facing something they've never faced before with you, the real fear that they've lost you. And fear of loss is the most powerful motivator in human psychology. People will do far more to avoid losing something than they will to gain something new. They will scramble. They will change. They will suddenly remember why they valued you in the first place. This is why silence works. This is why going no contact works. This is why just disappearing works. It's not because you're being mean or cold or manipulative. It's because you're finally acting in alignment with your own self-respect. When you do that, when you finally prioritize yourself, something incredible happens in the other person's mind. They notice that you're gone. They notice that your energy is no longer focused on them. They notice that you've moved on with your life. And more importantly, they notice that you're no longer the center of their own universe either. You're no longer available to be their source of validation. You're no longer there to fill their emotional void. You're no longer performing for them. And that terrifies them. That creates anxiety, that activates the fear of loss they've never had to feel before because you were always there, always available, always reaching out, always trying to make it work. Silence becomes a weapon because you're using it strategically to punish them. Silence becomes a weapon because you're finally respecting yourself enough not to perform for anyone else. And that silence, that withdrawal, that space you create, it forces them to face themselves. It forces them to confront the reality of your absence. It forces them to sit with their own thoughts instead of being distracted by your constant pursuit. It forces them to ask themselves questions they've been avoiding. What if they don't come back? What if I've actually lost them? Walking away and staying silent does something else too. Something powerful. It flips the entire power dynamic. Suddenly, they're the ones wondering what you're doing. They're the ones checking your social media. They're the ones crafting messages they delete before sending. They're the ones lying awake thinking about you. They're the ones feeling the desperation that you used to feel. They're experiencing the anxiety of uncertainty. You've just handed them your version of the obsession you once had, and now they reliving in it. But here's the deeper truth that most people miss. The real power isn't in making someone chase you. The real power is in becoming someone who doesn't need to be chased. The real power is in becoming so complete within yourself that whether they come back or not becomes almost irrelevant to your peace of mind. Because you've already moved on. You're already building something for yourself. You're already investing your energy into people and projects that actually appreciate you and reciprocate. Self-control is the highest form of dominance. Not control over others. Self-control. The ability to manage your emotions when you're hurting. The ability to walk away when every fiber of your being wants to reach out and beg them to come back. The ability to stay silent when you want to explain yourself and convince them that they're making a mistake. The ability to keep moving forward when you want to look back and see if they're following. This is the power that Machiavelli was really talking about when he spoke about power itself. When you master yourself, nobody can touch you, because you're no longer looking to them to define your worth. You're no longer seeking their validation like it's oxygen. You're no longer desperate for their approval. You've taken back all the power you gave away the moment you started chasing them. Think about every time you've chased, justified, explained, or begged. Think about how it felt in your body. Think about how little it changed the situation. Think about how it actually made things worse. Think about how they used your vulnerability against you. Think about the shame and regret you felt afterward. Because every time you do these things, you're leaking power. You're broadcasting insecurity. You're sending a clear message that you've lost faith in your own value. You're permitting them to disrespect you because you're already disrespecting yourself. The person you're trying to convince doesn't need your explanations. They need to see you moving on without them. They need to see you thriving. They don't need your justifications for why you deserve better treatment. They need to see you living a life that's so full they barely have time to think about whether they're in it or not. They don't need you to prove yourself to them. They need to see you completely unbothered by their opinion of you, completely unaffected by their judgment. Every chase costs you leverage. Every explanation erodes your mystery. Every justification confirms their suspicion about your insecurity. These are the currencies of power, and every time you use them trying to convince someone to value you, you're going broke. You're selling yourself short. You're teaching them that you have low standards for how you want to be treated. You're showing them that you'll abandon your dignity for their attention. But when you stop, when you finally collect yourself and walk away, when you make the ruthless decision to choose yourself over their comfort, something remarkable happens. Respect rises because they realize you have boundaries and you actually enforce them without exception. Attraction returns because they're seeing you as independent and powerful. Curiosity spikes because they no longer understand you or have you figured out. And power resets in your favor because you've finally demonstrated that you have value that exists outside of them. This is the walkaway effect. It's not manipulation. It's not a trick or a game. It's not some psychological tactic you're using against them. It's simply the natural consequence of choosing yourself. When you walk away, you're not running away from them. You're running toward yourself. You're investing your energy in your own growth, your own goals, your own healing, your own future. And that transformation is visible. That shift in your energy is palpable. Everyone around you feels it immediately. People notice it instantly. They notice that you're not seeking their approval anymore. They notice that you're more confident, more grounded, more present, more alive. They notice that you're no longer available to be used as an emotional dumping ground or a source of validation. And the people who matter, the people who actually have the capacity to love you, they respond to that. They start trying to get back what they took for granted. They start treating you differently. They start showing up differently. The people who don't respond, they show you they were never worth your time anyway. This is the gift of walking away. It clarifies everything. It shows you exactly who has value in your life and who was just consuming your energy without giving anything back. It separates the real from the fake, the genuine from the users, the people who actually care from the people who were just using you. To truly master the walk-away effect, you have to build something that makes walking away effortless rather than forced. You have to construct a life that's so full, so rich, so aligned with your values and your goals, that leaving becomes natural. It's not something you have to white-knuckle through with clenched fists and gritted teeth. It's not something you do while secretly hoping they'll come back and chase you. It's something you do because you've finally realized that you deserve better, and you're actually building that better life right now. This is becoming untouchable. It's building an identity so strong that it doesn't shake when someone leaves. It's creating a life so full that someone's absence doesn't create a space that needs to be filled. It's developing self-respect so deep that no amount of external validation could ever fill the hole it creates. When you're untouchable, you're not arrogant. You're not cold or distant or unapproachable. You're just complete. You're sufficient within yourself. You know your worth. You don't need anyone to validate it. You don't need anyone to confirm it. You know it to your core because you've proven it to yourself. And here's what happens when you become untouchable. People either step up or they step away. Those who've been taking you for granted suddenly realize what they're about to lose, and they transform their behavior. Or they don't step up, and they reveal themselves for who they really are. People who were never going to treat you right anyway. People who don't have the capacity or the character to appreciate you. Either way, you win. Because you're no longer defined by their choices. You're no longer dependent on their approval. You've reclaimed your power. This is where the real transformation happens. This is where you stop being the person who's always reaching out first and start being the person people reach toward. This is where you stop accepting scraps and breadcrumbs and start demanding the feast you deserve. This is where you stop negotiating your worth and start living it. Machiavelli understood something fundamental about power that most people never grasp. He understood that in any dynamic, someone has to have power. The question is who? It's either going to be you or it's going to be them. And the person who has power is always the one who cares less about the outcome. The one who's willing to walk away. The one who's built a life so complete that they don't need the other person to survive or to feel whole. So here's your choice right now. You can keep chasing. You can keep explaining yourself to people who don't deserve your words. You can keep justifying your feelings to people who won't listen. You can keep begging for scraps of attention and affection from people who don't deserve your energy. You can keep hoping that if you just try harder, if you just prove yourself more convincingly, if you just show them how much you care, they'll finally value you the way you deserve to be valued. Or you can walk away. You can choose yourself right now. You can invest your energy in your own growth, your own goals, your own healing, your own future. You can become someone so full of self-respect that desperation becomes physically impossible for you to feel. You can build a life so rich that someone's absence is just space being filled by something better. You can attract people who actually deserve you instead of chasing people who don't. The power is yours. It's always been yours. You just have to be willing to use it. You have to be willing to choose self-respect over attachment. You have to be willing to choose power over begging. You have to be willing to choose detachment over the chaos of chasing. You have to be willing to walk away and never look back. This is the ruthless truth. This is the transformation that separates those who have power from those who will always be seeking it. The moment you walk away with your head held high, the moment you choose yourself, you've already won. Because you've proven, both to yourself and to everyone around you, that you have worth that exists independent of their approval. Comment below, I no longer chase, I attract. If this opened your eyes to the power you've been giving away, like and subscribe for more Machiavellian psychology lessons. And remember, the most powerful thing you can ever do is walk away with your dignity intact. That's the lesson. That's the power. That's how you reclaim your life. That's how you become untouchable.